Welcome to UNCAGED, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we're speaking with Rich Cannava. Rich, how are you?
All right, Ben. How you doing today?
I am well, and we're going to be talking about an industry that I come from and I hold very, very dear. We're
Nice.
talking about marketing and performance marketing, especially. Rich is the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Overskies, which is an independent creative and performance agency that helps brands develop customer-centric positioning and execute brand storytelling to drive engagement and revenue. We'll talk about Overskies and what the company is working on right now. But before we get there, Rich, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I came into the industry actually on the creative side. I was a video editor, motion designer, kind of coming out of college, doing some freelance work, got into the agency world, eventually started working this agency, which was formerly called the CSI Group. That was back in like 2005, I think. And little by little, kind of worked my way up, got onto the executive team, started helping my prior partner and the prior owner run the agency. Took over that role as president probably in 2015, I think it was. And then I bought the agency about 3 years ago.
Very cool. Well,
Here I am.
congratulations. I love that story because I think that one of the things that's really true about the agency world is, you start as a practitioner, you kind of work your way up in that space, and now you're running the business, which is spectacular.
I
Before
know
you
the ins
tell
and outs.
exactly, before you tell me about the business, tell me about the name. I love it. Overskies.
Yeah, so we actually just rebranded about a year ago, and it was kind of just time. There was good equity in the prior brand name. It was called the CSI Group, and especially great brand equity with our clients that we've had long term. But overall, like it just kind of felt like it was time for a change, kind of new attitude, new personality. So Overskies actually is a word that not many people are familiar with. Actually has a few different meanings, but the two that we kind of prescribe to are it is literally the space between planets, right?
Oh, okay.
It also, more poetically, it is commonly known, or maybe not so commonly, because not many people know the word overskies, but it is the space between your head and your heart. So we kind of look at that as both just open spaces for creative thought, for wonder, for awe, for all of that. So it has that kind of meaning for us, and we kind of look at it as all ideas are accepted and the best idea wins.
I love that. Well, tell me a little bit about Overskies and really the solutions that you're delivering these days. I see that you're a creative firm, but you're also a performance-focused creative firm. So how does that manifest itself?
Yeah, and some performance, more on the brand side. So we do more top of funnel work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So starting with branding exercises for clients, positioning, messaging frameworks, brand identity, all the things that go into branding. More frequently now and more commonly, actually more from a storytelling component, right? So discovering a brand's why, understanding internally how they are as a brand, what's their attitude, persona, archetype, if you will, understanding their audiences, and then figuring out how we tell stories that would resonate with their audience, right? So
Right.
branding and brand storytelling. And then more tactically, we do lots of experiential work, lots of video work, more and more getting into channels like TikTok, YouTube, Amazon, and just telling brand stories across all those channels, unifying those channels from a messaging and a visual standpoint as well. So that's most pretty much encompasses any and events now that are back, trade shows, live streams, virtual events, like we do all of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, kind of like a full integrated marketing capability there, and something that really companies need, and whether they're getting going or actually refreshing and growing. So tell me more though, what you're seeing out there, Rich. I mean, what are the key things that marketers are concerned about right now, and where they're spending their time and maybe their money?
Yeah, at least with us, I'll start there. We're seeing, and it's good for us, we're seeing a lot of, probably over the last 5 to 7 years, there was a push to more performance-driven initiatives like lower funnel, return on advertising spend exercises like promotional offers and buy one get one type of thing. Really trying to get, hey, we spent $20 on this and we got $50 back, right? Marketers these days more and more, and it hasn't gone away, but they're being held financially responsible by the CFO of the company,
Yeah.
right? What kind of margins and dividends are you driving for the brand or for the company itself? So what we are seeing now is kind of like a return back towards brand side exercises, brand building exercises, I should say, and engagement, because the data proves out time and time again that the longevity and the long-term effect of that will increase your customer lifetime value, and it'll reap dividends repeatedly over time. So we're starting to see that a little bit. And then I think even below that, we're really starting to see a lot of our clients become a lot more interested in creating owned media channels on YouTube, really starting to actually pay more attention to their storefronts on Amazon, on Walmart. How does their brand show up on those channels? What kind of stories that they're telling? Do they have A+ content? So it's an always on world. Consumers shop where they want to. They demand to have content at scale, at their fingertips whenever they want. So if our clients don't have it, they're not competing. So we're starting to see more and more investment in those types of initiatives.
That's interesting. I think perhaps it's also a good time for folks to think about some of those topics that will have a broader impact on their product and brand success. I really like that. But, Rich, it's been interesting. You've come into this role as the chief executive officer of an agency, and you joined, and you took the role before the pandemic. You've done it through the pandemic. How are you finding this moment changing the way you run an operation and think about how you build an agency culture?
Yeah, well, I think what changed everything, right, was the pandemic.
Yeah.
So prior to that, we, just like every other business, had pretty much a local team. Every now and again, you have a remote position or employee, contractors that are, pretty much part-time employees that are all over the country. But the core team was here 5 days a week, and then for however long it was, we were from home. So culture became very difficult to build. Now we're back with a hybrid model. We're here 3 days a week, at home 2 days a week, and my team loves the schedule, right?
Yeah.
They love the added flexibility. I think, especially now trying to hire employees, like if you're not flexible in terms of when they can work and how they work, then again, you're not being competitive in the employee marketplace. So kind of we're left with not many choices but to adapt to what employees are looking for. And we're really good. I mean, we're 20 people. We're a tight-knit group. And so we do a lot of culture building exercises. We do at least 10 company events every year, and we hold ourselves to that number. We celebrate each other as much as possible, anniversaries. We celebrate big wins together. We celebrate milestones for employees. So, we've got a lot of fun and kind of easygoing ways to build culture. So
yeah, I like that. I like the 10 events a year. I think I might try to borrow that one, Rich. That's a really, really good standard to keep.
Ben, have you heard? You're probably familiar with Traction, Gino Workman. So we're a Traction agency, right? So everything gets kind of numbers, and you have a scorecard, and you keep.
Yeah.
So the 10 company events is a number we hold ourselves to. We find that is the good amount where it's not overdone, it's not too much, but it keeps people having fun together because, we work hard, play hard environment. That's just agency life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that what you've outlined is that evolution that has happened in a way naturally, where we have to be a little bit more flexible for talent, right? To get the right type of talent and moving forward. But have you found that that's had any impact on the way you work, or any challenges from an ideation perspective or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for sure it has. I'll be honest, it has hurt collaboration in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
It definitely forces you to focus on it more, right?
Yeah.
So maybe, without becoming meeting heavy, because then you get meeting fatigue, how can we build our teams so that we make sure projects are getting the right amount of creative input, creative thought, ideation, even when we're in remote circumstances.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've onboarded some digital tools and platforms to do that, but there's still no substitute for the whiteboard in the conference room.
And let me ask you a question, because this is something I actually just thought about. A lot of time in the past that you or I would have had to spend going to visit a client, right? Are you finding that you still have to make those visits to the businesses, or are more client conversations virtual these days?
It's more and more virtual,
Yeah.
but it's starting to swing back.
Mm,
We have certain clients, so you have to consider their culture as well, right? So certain clients we have, they want us there all the time, right?
right.
Two or three of them come to mind, and then another two or three come to mind where, I kind of feel like they push it to virtual. And I don't really think that's a reflection on us as much as that's the culture within those companies, right?
Absolutely.
So, we're as an agency, we are built on customer service. We've always been that way since I was working in the trenches here to the way that, to running the company now. I always tell my team, like, it's kind of like in basketball. Sometimes your jump shot's not falling, right? But you can always play defense, right?
Yes.
So we're not going to bat 1,000 on creative and branding, but we can bat 1,000 on customer service. Like, we can always deliver that. So
Rich, you can ask my high school teammates. My jump shot was never falling, so I was all about defense.
there you go. Yeah, so then you understand.
That was my only purpose,
Yeah, there
to
you
be
go.
on the court.
Yeah. So with that being said, we really try to understand like their needs, their culture, and try not to like push ourselves in too much. But
Yeah.
Certain clients love it, other clients more virtual.
Yeah, I love that. Well, listen, I mean, here we are, 2023 at the start of the year. What are you excited about for the year, and what's on the docket?
Yeah, I mean, so I kind of mentioned a couple of channels we're getting into. We're doing more and more storytelling now on YouTube, like looking at YouTube as like an owned media channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're looking at something like that and clients are willing to invest a little bit or a lot of it into it, it really gives you the opportunity to be creative in how you can take the
Yeah.
brand and create something that is, again, always on, something that they owned, something that is very much well branded in terms of the story they're trying to tell, and then resonates with their audience. So like that's the kind of work we really love to do.
Yeah.
And then, we talked a little bit about it before we hit record here about like AI and Chat GPT and Mid-Journey and all that stuff that's going on. And I think as an agency, you can look at it and you can get nervous, right?
Yeah.
Or you can look at ways to embrace it and bring it on. So, we've recently started an AI task force here at the agency, and we're starting to onboard a lot of these tools to try to figure out how we can work more efficiently, how they can help us be more creative. So we're trying to just go with the flow, and as we're doing that, my team is really fallen in love with a few different tools that they're
Yeah.
already using in client work and concepting. So that's exciting in a way, right?
Yeah,
Because you got to
that's,
adapt.
look, I did some work in looking at the agency world and AI for my PhD. And one of the things that I felt was a real miss by most agency groups was really not having that task force, right? There was not a lot of thinking about how the operation of running an agency was going to have to evolve with the technology. There was a fear or there was an excitement around the tech, but there wasn't a lot of thinking about, wow, that really changes the nature of our work, right? In the sense of when you hire a designer, maybe they are working on touching up photos and images when they start out, and then they move up the ranks. But
Yeah.
the reality is that's probably not the path anymore, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you manage that shift? It's a real interesting one to think about how you think of a career for somebody when you apply those technologies. I really love that you guys are working on that. Well,
Yeah.
listen, Rich, it's been amazing talking with you. We've been speaking with Rich Cannava about Overskies. He is the chief executive officer of Overskies. It's an independent creative and performance agency that helps brands develop customer-centric positioning and execute brand storytelling to drive engagement and revenue. If someone wanted to learn more about what you and the team are working on, where's the best place to find you?
Well, definitely on our website at www.overskies, just like it sounds, overskies.com. And you can also look me up on LinkedIn, Rich Cannava, Cannava. And I'm posting on there all the time and putting our portfolio work up and just ideas and thoughts that come to mind on any given day. So.
Well, it's been amazing talking with you. And, we've been talking to Rich about really the state of marketing. And really, I think some brands focusing more on the upper part of the funnel, really kind of some of that brand work that's critical for longer term value, overarching value of the company and the product and the brand, and maybe kind of incorporating that with that lower funnel work in a more efficient way. So kind of expanding it so you can kind of tackle it more effectively.
It's all linked together, right? Like
the
top funnel is going to branch into the performance initiatives. It's got to be one cohesive story, strategy. So at some point or another, they're going to move from where we're at down the line and move into that consideration and conversion set. So
I love it. Well, Rich, thank you again for being on the show today, and we look forward to having you back.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Good talking with you.
Cheers.
All right, thanks.